you commentated on the Under-21 Euros that
Good
just
final as well.
finished on Saturday. Yeah, great final. England, back-to-back European champions now at that age group, which is pretty special.
Yes,
it doesn't happen.
they've done it once before.
Often. Yeah,
I think
that's
80 or in the 80s.
Yeah, in
I'll
the
say the
80s.
80s, yeah.
But it's quite rare, and we wanted to start with that because one, it's a great trophy. Two, it was a very good tournament overall. I thought France played really well. Spain were good too. We had the Dutch. We had plenty of really promising talents on show.
I like the way you started with France played really well.
I had to, Robbo. You know me.
Not so much in the semi-final, which I did as well.
Oh, but we'll get to that later.
Yeah.
But first, let's praise England because deserved winner. Will you agree with that?
I think so. They dominated the first half, playing a slightly different game to what they'd played in the previous games. Because I thought, I'm doing the commentary and I'm saying that England will probably dominate possession and Germany will try and play on the counter-attack as they did against France in the semi-final.
Yeah.
And it was the other way around. Germany had quite a bit more possession, but England's counter-attacking in that first half against two central midfield players against three in that central area. But the pace in which England counter-attacked and the precision with their passing at the end of it, Harvey Elliot obviously doing brilliantly, Hutchinson with his goal as well.
Yeah.
But they looked so dominant in that first half. But it all changed in the second half when Germany started to come back into it.
Yeah, and I mean, the Germans were good. We said it. They've got a good generation coming through with Voldemade and others. We'll talk about them in a little bit. In a way, I thought at 2-2 the game had turned and the momentum has switched and that Germany would go in extra time and win that. Were you surprised that it was not the case and that England actually...
Well, I was surprised what Carsley did because he took off his centre forward.
Yeah.
So you're thinking, why is he taking off the centre forward? But what he did, he played with two sort of false number 9s, so they overloaded the midfield, so they got more control of the game.
Yeah.
Harvey Elliot came in from the right-hand side. I think Norton Cuffy was brought on as a sub and went to the right-hand side. And McAtee dropped that little bit deeper. So England had a little bit more possession than they'd had in any other stage of the game, but without any penetration. So I'm thinking, well, how are they going to go and win the game? And it obviously happened in extra time where the ball just whipped into the box and the substitute row came on and it's a good header. But that last extra time, Germany made a mistake because they were going to get crosses into the box. The one player who was going to win balls in the air was Viper and he'd been taken off.
Yeah.
So that was disappointing for them.
I think that was a really strange call. From a coach, I think that for the tournament has had highs and lows. I mean, even against France when they took the lead in that semi-final, then after that, they didn't look like anywhere near as good as the way they started the game. And I'm not sure about his game management.
No. And I would say when they were 2-0 up against France, I'm doing the game. I'm thinking France looked to have the better players.
Yeah.
They looked to have more pace. They looked to have more energy. They seemed to control the ball, and Germany are just playing on scraps, really.
Absolutely.
But it worked for them in the game.
Yeah. Just a word on Harvey Elliot. You mentioned it. I mean, man of the tournament for me. I don't know if he got player of the tournament.
He did get player of the tournament. Yeah, he did.
It's not so much the goal that he scored. And to be fair, I thought he might be even a bit too old to play that tournament. Probably too good even to be part of that tournament, really, when you think about it. But he delivered, right? The goals in the final, in the semi-finals, and in the quarterfinals. He was just the leader that England wanted him or needed him to be.
Yeah. And he showed that he can, as you said, it wasn't just goals. He was playing on the right-hand side, but tucked in to be an inside right, I would say, to allow the fullback, Livramento, who played well down the right-hand side. He could pick passes out. He played a couple of lovely balls in the final with his left foot, coming infield and finding McAtee on a run. I think that was for the second goal.
For the second goal.
And he worked hard as well. So he showed all his quality. But you still have to say, is he as good as the best players who play in that position in the top teams in the Premier League? At the moment, probably not.
That's a good question. And when we would talk about his future and what he should do right now, because I think at Liverpool, as much as he probably loved that club and would love to do well there and play, there's no room for him, right?
You've got to play.
He needs to lead, right?
Yeah. And with Wirtz going there as well, it makes another player that's in front of him.
Just before we wrap up on this segment, a word on Lee Carsley, who obviously had this little stint with England and seemed to be doing well, and then seems that he didn't want the job anymore, and now he's back with the Under-21, where he clearly feels very happy to work with these young players. I mean, back-to-back Under-21.
What I would say from watching them play, and I have never seen him on the training field, so I don't know, but having seen his team play and the way they came out from the back on several occasions, the way they played with penetration, what he gets out the players, he looks to be a very good coach.
Yeah.
And there's one reason why he probably will never be the England manager, and he doesn't want to be the England manager. He's not very good with the press. And that's it. So Gareth Southgate wasn't a great coach, but was good with the press.
Yeah.
Lee Carsley is the opposite. And I think Lee Carsley is doing a great job where he is at the moment.
Yeah. Let's keep the chat on Carsley, because I think it's quite fascinating, because clearly we saw with England, whether he liked it or not, the environment, the press, all the press conference, that he did really well the game against Ireland, remember, where they played really lovely football.
Yeah. He got Jack Grealish playing in the number 10 position rather than playing out wide.
Absolutely.
And he had his best game for England and the best game for a long time, Jack Grealish in that game.
Then he got a bit more difficult, and there was the game against Greece and all of that. But anyway, you clearly, as you said, there is a good coach in there. We can see that anyway. He can't stay at this level for. I mean, if he wants to, of course he can. I'm just saying that. I'm not saying that this is not a good job. It's a good job, but surely he would be ambitious enough to think, okay, I can get a job in the Premier League. Could this not fear of the media, but the fact that he doesn't really like talking to the media and like that kind of pressure, be a problem for his own career? Or will he have to deal with it?
Yeah, because unfortunately now, because of the way TV want interviews with managers and everything the manager says is analysed, if you're not very good with the press, you'll get crucified very quickly. Yeah. And in the Premier League, you have to be on the telly all the time.
Yeah,
you have to give press interviews here. You're going to have to do everything. You have to like the press, and he doesn't. So it might be, I'm sure it'd be the same abroad, but it might not be. He might not be under so much pressure, and the difference in language might just help him out slightly. Absolutely. But I'm sure he's a very, very good coach. We've seen that over the last few years of him with the under-21s. We saw it in that little spell with England. He made a mistake in the big game when he changed the system completely and overthought it. But I think he's a manager that should develop and should go on and do something much more than he's doing at the moment.
His name is rarely mentioned. So, for example, I don't know, like let's say Brentford, they lose Thomas Frank, they go and replace him. His name is not really mentioned. And maybe he's been interviewed with him, or maybe turned it down, or maybe he was not interested. I don't know. But I still find it strange that he's Irish, English, whatever you want, but he's still there, and yet it doesn't seem that.
But the same thing as we're talking about. We don't really know much about him, do we? As a person, I'm not even sure. I'm not even sure how he talks. I mean, I've heard one or two, but I'm not sure how he would come across in an interview, how he would sell himself. You just mentioned Thomas Frank. Thomas Frank speaks really well, and he's a Scandinavian coming into to England, but he speaks really well, and people take notice of him.
Yeah, that's true.
Would Lee Carsley have that same sort of persona?
It's a good point, and maybe he prefers be a bit in the shadow than being on the. In the spotlight.
You can still earn very good money being a head coach with a manager above you. That's probably what he would want. He would want somebody who would be he would have been a great foil for Gareth Southgate, because Gareth Southgate is good with the press and knows what to say to the press without being, I don't think, a great coach. Lee Carsley would have been a great foil for him.
Yeah, together they could have worked really well. I mean, Carsley inspired this team. We said the setup, apart from maybe a game or some moments in games in the group stages where it was not all perfect, but they were still very impressive overall against Spain. They played really well, and in a game that was not easy. And as we said, Harvey Elliot, star of the tournament. So he was named player of the tournament. So I dug out for you, Stu, the former under-21 Euros player of the tournament, just for you to have an idea. In 2023, when England already won it, as we said, back-to-back, Anthony Gordon won that award. Before him, Fabio Vieira with Portugal in 2021, who's now Arsenal, who's on loan at Porto. Fabian Ruiz won it in 2019. Dani Ceballos, you remembered him?
Yes, because I went to the final in Poland when they played against Germany.
Yeah, 2017.
And Spain were a very good side, and the midfield dominated the game. And Fabian Ruiz was playing in that as well.
As well already. And Ceballos looked so good in that tournament, I remember.
His ability and manipulating of the ball
was
fantastic.
Everything, carrying the ball. William Carvalho before, Thiago Alcantara won it, Juan Mata. You've got a few not strange names, but names that maybe didn't have the career that we thought. Marcus Berg in 2009 with Sweden. Royston Drenthe with the Netherlands in 2007, remember him? Yeah. Then you had Huntelaar, Gilardino, Peter Cech, Andrea Pirlo, Cannavaro, Figo, Schrucker, Laurent Blanc.
They're quite good names, really, aren't they?
Usually at that level, when you are a name like that. And Harvey Elliot is great talent.
He certainly is.
But he needs to leave Liverpool, as we said earlier.
Yeah, because he's not going to get in the team unless Salah is injured.
Yeah.
If there was a role behind the main striker, he thought, I could get in. Well, Florian Wirtz has just been signed, so he's going to take that.
That's for him, yeah.
That's for him. Could he play on the other side? But they've got players who can play on that other side as well that are more dynamic. I think that's the one problem that Harvey Elliott's got. He's probably not quite dynamic enough.
Yeah, okay.
He's got a lovely left foot. He can go past people, but he's not got blistering pace.
Yeah.
And that's probably what modern attacking players, to be the world's best, you have to have that blistering pace.
What's his best position, do you think? Yeah.
I
would he be from that right-hand side coming inside?
I would say he could develop as, if you were playing a midfield three, he could almost play, there would be a holding midfield player, and if he played on the right-hand side of a midfield three,
yeah,
and he could use his left foot to come in field. He could mix it up with Salah and go outside of Salah if he needed to, and they could work with the right back as well. That would be his best position. That's what he's got to develop, because I don't think he's an out-and-out winger, and I don't think he's an out-and-out centre forward. And I don't think he's an out-and-out number 10. So there's a little role that he's got to find for himself, and that would be where I would say.
I thought James McAtee, who was the captain, we see him with the trophy, did really well on the back of a good end of the season with City. Again, I'm not sure what his future will have for him.
The same,
but he has to leave City, right?
He has to leave City. The same question I asked about Harvey Elliot, I ask about McAtee. I see him as a very good technician, very much like Bernardo Silva.
Yeah.
But has he got that dynamism to go to the next level? That burst past players and go past them and smash the ball in the back of it. He's a very good technical player.
Yeah.
But I still don't think he's got dynamic enough to make the most of that technical ability.
Yeah, I hear you. Who else in that team impressed you? I mean, we mentioned Livramento already, who's, again, for me, clearly too good for this level. Almost should not be allowed to play in this level. He's an England international for me, as in A team.
Well, Anderson, the Nottingham. I mean, people say, well, is he good enough technically? He's what you want from an all-action midfield player. He's got dynamism, where he can get up and down the pitch.
Yeah.
He can defend with great tenacity. He can run with the ball. He can find his passes. He's the all-round midfield player. I get annoyed when I hear midfield players saying, well, he's a holding midfield player and he's a playmaker. A midfield player, the reason you play midfield is because you should be able to do both sides of the game.
Absolutely.
That's why you're a midfield player.
Yeah.
And he can certainly do both sides of the game.
I felt his season with Forest was great and probably underrated. I don't think people talked enough about him in that Forest team, and I thought he was the same in this tournament. Alex Scott is a lovely player next to him, but I thought Anderson just ran that midfield from start to finish. And Germany had a good midfield. Martel is a good player.
Yes.
We mentioned Nebel earlier together before the start of the show. They had
decent, the other midfield player,
and they were good. Yeah. But I thought Anderson was just on another level through the whole tournament.
Yeah. And he kept on going, and you thought he's going to tire in a minute, but he didn't do so. So, he was I thought, outstanding as well.
Anybody else that you want to highlight, maybe?
Last season, the very first game of last season, when Arne Slot took over, Quansah got taken off at Ipswich because he didn't win enough of his aerial duels and his battles. I presume the lap was playing for Ipswich.
Yeah, that's right, probably.
So he took him off at half time, and you thought, it's not going to be great.
And then never really got back in. Yeah.
But in the tournament, he looked good.
Yeah,
he came out from the back with the ball on occasions, when there was space in front of him, driving forward. He made a couple of interceptions in the front and ran 60 yards with the ball, and nobody got anywhere near him. So he looks to have got his confidence back, and I'm glad about that, because I think he's a very good player. But he's also got to make sure that he does the physical side of the game. If you're a centre half, you've got to win your aerial challenges. You've got to make your tackles.
Is it good for him to go to the Bundesliga then, because of the way the league is more open maybe than in the Premier League, where he will have to be very good in the duels, but it's not the same configuration than in England?
No, I think he'll have a bit more time, and you can make the odd mistake in the Bundesliga in Germany, without being completely punished for it, and it being highlighted over and over again. Yeah. I think it would be a good move for him. Yeah.
Also, a little word on Charlie Creswell and Jonathan Rowe, who I think Creswell was really good through the whole tournament. He's developed well in France. I just wanted to mention them because they obviously play in Ligue 1, and I think there's something good as well from this team, because some players are playing in the Premier League, no problem. Others are in the Championship, but pretty much all of the starters are starting for their club. Okay, Elliot and McAtee are slightly different, but for the others, Hutchinson, we mentioned, very good. Even Jay Stanfield, who had a great season in Ligue 1 with Birmingham. But Creswell for Toulouse in France, and Jonathan Rowe with Marseille, who's maybe not didn't do as well as Creswell, but the way they move the broads and...
But isn't it a feature now of English players, young English players? Can't get in teams, like Chelsea and all these, and they're going abroad. And now they're doing well in France. They're doing well in Germany. It's been excellent for English young players.
I agree. A word on Germany. We mentioned Nick Woltemade, who's almost the last 6 months of the season, the revelation of the Bundesliga with Stuttgart, and such an unusual player because he's 2 meters high and still has great technique.
Well, that's right. He had great technique. And in the semi-final and the final, his play with his back to goal was fantastic. He's manipulating of the ball and holding off challenges. The one disappointment in the tournament, I would say, is in that last 20, 25 minutes of extra time, crosses were coming into the box. He didn't win one cross in the box, and he's 6'7".
So you know what? It's really interesting you said that. For a lot of the tournament, I felt that he was not afraid. Maybe afraid is the wrong word, but he didn't want to go into the challenge.
No, it was almost as I'm a player that likes to play technical football, and I'm not going to just be a 6'7" bloke who wins balls in the air. You know, Viper won a couple of balls in there, scored a brilliant goal. Yeah. So I'm thinking, you know, Germany now getting it out to Nebel, who's going to get crosses into the box. By that time, they've got Knauf on the right-hand side. They're going to get crosses in, comes back to the foot, get crosses in like England did for their goal. Where's Voltemada? You know, he's 6'7". Yeah, he's the biggest player on the field. And he didn't. He in the semi-final, he missed a couple against France where there were free headers when he headed past the post. And it was just a surprise to me that he never won one ball in the air when it came into the box. Yeah,
there were times where I thought if you ruffle him a little bit, rough him up a little bit, he won't like that, and he's not ready for that yet. And maybe this would come because again, until December, he didn't even play with Stuttgart. No. He didn't even put him in the Champions League squads at the start of the season because he was nowhere near ready for first team football or for Champions League football. So it's clearly he was very good as a youngster under 17, under 19. I don't know if you used to commentate on him maybe, but I remember seeing him with the under 19 where he was outstanding. And then clearly that step up from under 19 to professional first team football was a bit difficult for him. But the last 6 months, great, and clearly still a lot of room for improvement. I'm not sure he's ready for Bayern just yet. It seems like Bayern are ready to spend the cash on him.
It's a difficult place to go, Bayern. You know, you've got to be at your very best and top of your game. You know, we saw Tell there, who couldn't really get in the team, and then when he did have his chances, he lost confidence because he was better in the first couple of games of the season than he was later on when he should have been getting better, but wasn't getting the chances. So when he came on, he didn't play well at all.
No, that's
why he's gone.
So Voltemada, Viper, Nebel,
I think I was. Because I didn't do all Germany's games, but I did the semi-final and the final. Yeah. And the first 20, 25 minutes, I think, who's this Nebel? He's not got on the ball. He's not done anything. And then suddenly, he was getting on the ball and taking it past people, he could chop it onto his right foot and get crosses, chop it onto his left foot and get the cross. It was his great cross for the Viper. Yeah. So he looked a good player to me. Yeah. When they were struggling to get the equaliser, he was the player that I thought if he gets on the ball and
we make something happen.
He makes something happen.
Yeah, I agree with you. We mentioned Martel already, the captain in midfield. They had the two fullbacks who I thought Collins and Brown. Really interesting too. Atobello in goal is a Bundesliga starter. There's no problem. So good generation from the Germans, good generation from England. The French didn't do too badly considering they didn't have Cherki or Akliouche or some of the top players because they were busy with other things to do. Which this is the only thing, just to finish on the under-21s. Please, FIFA, just make it a FIFA date. So all the top players could go if they are called up because it was a good tournament, really good tournament. But I hated the fact that the lab wasn't there, that Cherki wasn't there, that we missed out on some really talented
and over the years, that's been the problem with under-21 football. You're never quite sure who's playing in it.
Yeah,
you know,
and that's a shame.
And even England win it, but they had a lot more players they could have played that are playing elsewhere in the world.